Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the core allegory from the best-selling book, The Cure. And really, the whole story, the whole idea, it all comes down to this one simple question. See, it frames our spiritual life not as just one single road we're all on, but as a really critical choice. A choice between two paths that couldn't be more different.
All right, so our journey here, it starts at a familiar place, right? A fork in the road. And this choice, well, it's going to define everything that comes after. You know, the authors paint this picture of life as a story that we're all sure is going to be amazing. We feel it in our bones, right? That we have a destiny, a purpose. But then life happens. And over time, pain, failure, they start to kind of tatter the pages of that once perfect book. And this is where a lie creeps in. It's a two-part lie, a kind of curse, really, that just breaks our hearts and stops us dead in our tracks. The road we were cruising on suddenly just splits, and we're faced with two paths that, on the surface, look kind of similar. But trust me, they lead to totally different worlds. So, you're standing there looking at these two paths, and the choice, it almost seems obvious, doesn't it? Trusting God. I mean, that sounds so passive. It feels like you're not actually doing anything. So the character in the story does what, let's be honest, a lot of us would do. He takes that well-traveled path on the left, the one that feels active, the path of pleasing God. And this path, it leads to this big, grand, super impressive building. It seriously looks like the headquarters for anyone who's truly dedicated. You walk inside and wow, it's a stunning, massive hall. We're talking white marble, gold leaf, even cascading fountains. And it's packed with thousands of smiling, beautiful people. But you notice something a little off. A lot of them are wearing these incredibly elaborate, perfectly crafted masks. And at first, it's amazing. It's intoxicating. But pretty soon, you start to feel this unease. You start to notice the conversations are all on the surface. There's this kind of put-down banter that passes for humor. And if you look really close, behind those forced smiles, you can just feel this constant tension, this feeling of never quite measuring up. Honestly, everyone just looks exhausted, like they're hiding some deep, lonely pain. And that banner right there, that quote reveals the absolute core belief of this whole place. The assumption here is that God is way over on the other side of all our failures. You can just picture him, arms folded, tapping his foot, basically waiting for us to clean up this giant, ever-growing pile of garbage we've made of our lives before we're allowed to get close to him. So this entire room operates on what the book calls a really cruel deception, the godliness formula. It's this idea that just ignores the righteousness God has already given us, and it seals us in this hamster wheel of immaturity. You're just running and running, trying to fix your sin by working harder on it, but you never ever get anywhere. So after a while, our guy is just done. He's totally disillusioned, exhausted from the constant performance. So he slips out, goes all the way back to that fork in the road, and this time he takes the other path, the path of trusting God. And wow, the inside of this building could not feel more different. The cold marble and flashy gold are gone. Instead, you've got warm, carved wood, polished stone. Natural light is just pouring in. And the people here, they aren't wearing any masks at all. So the hostess walks up and asks them how he's doing. And for the first time, he just tells the truth. He says, "I am not fine. Not fine at all." And instead of judgment or awkward silence, the whole room just erupts in this warm, genuine laughter. There's zero pretending here. It's like everyone is saying, "Is that all? Phew, welcome home." You see, in this room, the whole dynamic just flips on its head. God isn't on the other side of our sin anymore. No, he's standing right next to us with his arm around our shoulder, looking at that pile of filth with us. He's not waiting for us to get our act together. He actually wants to know us right in the middle of our mess. And this really gets to the book's central point. Pleasing God is actually the byproduct of trusting him. It's not the other way around. Think about it. If your main goal is to please him, you'll always feel like you're falling short. But when you finally learn to just trust him, you discover that there's absolutely nothing in the world that pleases him more than that trust. Okay, so that all sounds good, but what's the real practical difference? I mean, what happens in these two rooms when we inevitably screw up? Well, in the room of good intentions, failure gets managed by this nasty self-defeating thing called the control cycle. It kicks off with these unhealthy, shame-filled thoughts about ourselves. That shame pushes us to hide, to isolate, and from that dark, lonely place, we act out. Then comes the blame, the justification. It's just this downward spiral, a cyclone of despair that ends with us losing all hope, completely convinced we're never ever going to change.
But the room of grace? It offers a totally different solution. It's not about trying to resist harder. It's about choosing to reveal sooner. The second you decide to bring what's hidden into the light, by telling a trusted friend, the cycle's power is just shattered. Light shines on the crazy making, and it can actually stop. So these two paths, they don't just feel different day to day. The book makes it really clear they lead to two completely different destinations at the end of the road. That endless striving in the room of good intentions, it just leads to burnout. It makes people bitter, cynical. But the path of grace, the path of trusting God, that leads to real healing, to actual maturity. And that's what frees you up to live out the purpose you've always known was there. And just to be clear, we're not talking about worldly success here, or, maximizing your potential. The book defines destiny as something much deeper. It's the unique, sacred influence God has prepared for you to have on other people. And that's something that can only really be unleashed when you finally stop trying to prove you're good enough and just start living from a place of grace. And this really brings us home to the central message of The Cure. It proposes that maybe, just maybe, true holiness isn't about finally achieving perfection. Maybe it's about achieving transparency. It's about living a life with nothing hidden from God or from a safe community. So let me leave you with this. What if that, above all else, is the actual goal?